Good evening, everyone. So tonight I am making a bit of a family favorite. Most of the family loves it. Beef stroganoff. Now I do a bit of a variation because our son doesn't like mushrooms. So normally I would cook the mushrooms after I've cooked the meat, but because our son doesn't like the mushrooms, I go ahead and I cook the mushrooms first. So those are already cooked. That's about 4 medium to large mushrooms. Now for the beef, what I always do is I always like to freeze the steaks for about 2 to 3 hours before I'm ready to cut them up. If you freeze the steaks first, then it actually makes it easier to cut it into nice thin strips. You don't need to have them thin, but you do want thinner strips for beef stroganoff. Okay, and as you can see, I'm not having too many issues cutting these into nice thin strips. So as you can see, they're nice and thin strips. Okay. And then so what I've got here is I've got it's about 900 grams of beef, so almost 2 pounds. So it's just under 2 pounds of beef. Okay, all cut up into nice thin strips. I have some sour cream. Normally most people put Dijon mustard, but because I don't like Dijon, I always use regular mustard. I bought just some beef stock today. I have half a white onion, a little bit of flour, and our mushrooms. And I'm going to serve this over egg noodles. And I have my water on the stove getting hot as well, boiling up. So what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just reheating up my pan because I did take it off of the heat so that it wouldn't get too hot. Now we're going to go ahead and I'm just looking for my salt and pepper. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some salt and pepper onto my beef here. Sprinkle it with some where's my pepper? I don't know where my pepper is, so I'll just open this one. Just gonna sprinkle it with some pepper, it will be a bit faster tonight. Okay, and then we're just gonna go ahead and just mix this in. And I'm going to put some more salt and pepper on it once it's in the pan because there isn't a lot on there. Okay. Now I'm going to add in some olive oil into my pan. And we're going to add the beef into the pan as well. If you want, you can do this in separate batches. I just do it all in one batch. And it doesn't take long to cook the beef because it is nice and thin already. And you're not going to fully cook it because you still want it to be nice and tender. So you want to cook it probably about 3/4 of the way through. So you're going to do it just until it's brown. Now my water is boiled, so I'm going to add these in there. And always stir your noodles. You don't want them sticking to the bottom of your pan. Okay, so I'm just going to place you on pause while I brown these, and I will be back shortly. Okay, so as you can see, our beef has browned. And as I mentioned, don't worry about any of the pink stuff still, because that will actually cook in the sauce when you add it back to the sauce. So what I'm doing now is I am taking it off of the pan and I'm putting it back into the bowl. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to get rid of these juices. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some butter to this. Quickly spread this around onto here. Okay, and now we're going to add our onions. So we're going to let these cook for a minute or so. Normally after about, let them cook for a few minutes, but normally after about a minute or so, you would go ahead and you would add your mushrooms in at this part. But because, as I mentioned, my son doesn't like mushrooms, I've gone ahead and already pre-cooked those. And make sure that while you're doing this, that you are scraping the bottom for any potential bits that are stuck to the bottom. That's flavor, so you do want that. With this being a non-stick pan, I don't really have any flavor bits on this. So we're just going to let those cook for a moment or so I will be back shortly. Okay, now that my onions are ready, I'm going to add my flour. So I've got probably about 3 tablespoons or so of flour there. Okay, we're going to let this cook for about a minute. Okay, we're just trying to cook the flour off. Okay. Okay, so now that that is done, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add in a couple cups of our beef broth. So about half of one of these containers. Okay, maybe a little less. Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and we're going to let that cook for a little bit. Okay, and as you can see that the flour and the beef and the onions are mixing together, the beef broth is now cloudy. Okay, and it's going to help thicken it. Okay. Oops, just lost a noodle. Another minute on those. Okay, now that the beef broth and flour and onion have thickened, we're going to add the rest of the beef broth. Okay. And just stir it up. Okay, and we're gonna let that cook for a few minutes. I'm gonna put you on hold again and drain my noodles, and we're going to let this cook up a little bit longer. I will be back shortly for the next step. Okay, so my beef broth here and flour and onions have come to a simmer. So now we're gonna add in about a tablespoon or two of mustard and about a cup or so of sour cream, so about half of this container. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix these together. Just get a spatula, get a whisk. Okay. And while you're mixing this, if it looks like your sour cream and everything is separating, don't worry about that. The heat will melt the sour cream, and so it will mix. See, as you can tell here, I'm not sure how well you can tell, but if you take a close look, it looks like my sour cream has separated. It hasn't, it just hasn't had a chance to incorporate. So once it melts a little bit, it will go in there nice and smoothly. So now you're gonna wanna let this simmer for about 3 to 5 minutes to allow for the sour cream to melt and to incorporate in here. So I will be back shortly for the next step. Okay, we're back. So as you can see, my sauce here has gone ahead and it has thickened. Now we're going to add our beef back. And we're going to let that all incorporate. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to let this all sit in here for about a minute. While that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start getting some plates ready. I will be back shortly. Okay, now that I've got my plates ready, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to dish out some of this. Now that I've taken out some for my son, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in the mushrooms. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to let that sit. Mix that in, and then we're going to let this sit for a few minutes. All right, so once this is sat for a few minutes, go ahead and dish it up, and I hope you enjoy and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much.